I'm chatting with Dan Gregory. He's the president of Restore Addiction Recovery. Dan, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show. Share a little bit with me about Restore Addiction Recovery.
Restore Addiction Recovery is a place for men to go that are struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. It's a residential facility, which means the men live there.
Okay.
It's 12 months long,
Wow.
so it's a long-term residential facility for men struggling with drug and alcohol addiction.
And where are you guys located at?
We're in Lakemore, where the old Edwin Shaw facility was. Just a beautiful piece of property.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about you, Dan. What got you involved in this and
yeah, a little
brought
different
you to this
path.
place?
Yeah, sure. Well, I grew up in Ohio, and I
Okay.
went to The Ohio State University.
Yes.
And I have 6 children, and one of my children struggled with addiction.
Okay.
And just like any dad and parent, your first real push is, what do I do?
Yeah.
How do I help? You want to solve the problem. And in digging into, where could he go? What are our potential places that he could attend? I just honestly didn't see what I was looking for. I expected something like what Restore is now.
Yeah.
We were able to raise money to build a brand new facility on a beautiful piece of property. And so as my son struggled through that, I just was thinking maybe it's time for me to jump in and get into that space and see what we can do to add value, to help the continuum of care, to help Summit County and Akron and the surrounding area better care for people struggling with drug and alcohol addiction.
That's so interesting, because when I think of a facility, I don't think 12 months long-term, live there, but it makes sense. As you're saying it, I'm thinking, well, of course, you need time to be able to come out of any addiction and to be able to heal and to move forward. And so tell me what brought you to that place to say, we need a place where someone can come and stay for 12 months. Share a little bit more of that.
Well, my background is business, right?
Okay.
So I don't have any degrees in social work, or I'm not a doctor
Right.
or a theologian or pastor. But I just looked at my own background and my own thoughts about, what are the issues, and just breaking it down to the basics of what's the best standard of care. I asked literally hundreds and hundreds of people about, well, how does somebody go from a life of addiction to a life of sobriety? And I had a conversation with a doctor in Cleveland who had helped literally thousands of people in addiction. And I specifically asked him that question, and I asked other people the same question, right? And he goes, well, we actually know the answer to that. And so I had my notepad out and I said, go.
Tell me.
And he said, 1 year of sobriety. There's a lot of science and understanding around the idea that it takes a while for your brain to heal.
Yeah.
And so, 1 month or 2 months is not enough, that you need 6, 7, 8 months to really start pulling it together. And so he said, there's been a lot of studies around 1 year. So that's where we came up with the 1 year. There's other organizations around the country doing 1 year programs. So we started with 1 year, and he said, the next thing he said was, restored relationship with God, self, and others, a healthy place to live and a safe place to live, a job and a vocation, and all that surrounded by community and accountability. So those are the 5 tenets of what we designed Restore to be around, is those 5 ideas. So from there, we just looked at, well, why aren't other organizations doing that? And honestly, so many well-meaning organizations and individuals just said, because there's no money, or here's the constraints. And so we took a step back and said, well, if there was no monetary constraints, how would you design a facility? What would it look like? What would the programming be? Would the men have jobs? And people just blossomed when you give them that creativity to say, well, without any constraints, I would do this or I would do that. We just took notes. And then we started patterning it after that, and other people that had input. And so that's where we came up with this idea that it'd be 4 phases. It'd be 12 months. The men would work as they participate in our program. As they go through that work program, we start introducing them back to their families.
Yes.
They go on home visits. They get more responsibility and more privilege, and still with that accountability. And then as they look to graduate, we go back to those 5 principles. Where are you going to work? Where are you going to live? Most of our men are offered full-time jobs, at the places they're working. And then as they exit to their, what we call the launch, then we have a savings match program. So the average person that comes to Restore, and Restore is free. It costs nothing to come.
Oh my goodness.
And the average man leaves with $5,000 in savings. So it's just an amazing program to be able to put together what the community says would work.
I love that you went to the community and you allowed people to dream big and kind of put those dreams out there, and then you were able to bring that together and make it a reality. That's really amazing.
It even goes to the building design. So we worked with an amazing architect and a builder, and we designed Restore like a home. Huge glass windows, open spaces that make you feel like a home, not an institution, something you want to attend. So we don't call the men that come there clients, they're residents.
Okay.
It's their home.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So if someone's watching, they might have someone who is in active addiction, but ready to take that step. Maybe they've had a conversation with them. What would you recommend to them?
I think the easiest way is just to go to our website, which
Okay.
is restoreaddictionrecovery.com. There you can find a lot of information about what Restore is and how it works. There's a pre-assessment intake form that you can fill out and email to us. That's probably the best way to get a lot of information about what we're all about.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And as we're wrapping up, go ahead and speak to, because I know you said you had addiction in your family. Speak to someone who maybe has active addiction in their family, but that person is not ready to change. Speak to that family member right now. What would you say to them? What can they do to support themselves during this difficult time?
Well, that's a great question. And what I'd say to a parent or brother or loved one is make sure that you're getting the help you need. There's support groups
really
out
good.
there for families that are facing addiction. So many times when I talk to parents, they'll call in just utter despair, which I certainly understand. And as we're trying to help their son, I'm also encouraging them, make sure that you're getting the necessary input in your life. Make sure the simple things, you're eating, you're exercising, you're taking care of yourself, because it's hard to minister to other people with an empty cup.
Absolutely.
So to be able to fill that up and to make sure you're getting that nourishment, both spiritually and mentally and physically, is really important.
So they're taking care of themselves
Sure.
as well. Absolutely. And it's a good reminder. There are groups out there. I know we've even talked about some of them here on the show, where they can go and get support if they do have someone in their family in active addiction. So good reminder there as well. Do you guys do anything like that at Restore, or do you have resources for people?
We have resources.
Okay.
If they call in. We can certainly direct them depending on where they live in town.
Great. So you can
There's a lot
connect
of
them.
resources all over the Akron and Summit County is just a great group of people that come alongside people in addiction. It's been great to work with Summit County, with Akron, with the local churches. It's been very, very helpful.
Great. All right, go ahead and share one more time how people can find you guys, your website, if you have social media, all that.
RestoreAddictionRecovery.com is the best place. We are on social media, Instagram, Facebook. I just don't know any of that stuff because I
That's
don't
okay.
do it myself. But
Perfect.
I'm old school, so email's great.
Great. So go to the website. They can get your email on there if they want to get in touch with you as well. All right. Thank you so much, Dan, for being on the show. Appreciate
you.
what you're doing in Summit County. And then it's a little different and unique. And thank you for, just opening that up to our community, but also saying like, hey, what do we actually need in this community, and filling that hole. So appreciate
Thank you
that.
for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Good Morning Akron. Make sure that you check out Restore Addiction Recovery if that is going to meet a need in your family, or you pass on the information to a family member who might need it. We just want to be a resource here on Good Morning Akron. So make sure you stay tuned though, because we've always got more great stuff coming up next.